June 28, 2005. Guys, that's definitely a day I will never forget. Obviously, for some of you out there, you may know that date. That is the anniversary of the Operation Red Wings incident, or as some of you may know it, it is the Lone Survivor incident. Some of you may have seen the movie or read the book Lone Survivor by teammate Marcus Luttrell. But that was my troop. Eric Christensen was my troop commander. Several of the individuals that we lost, 5 of the individuals that we lost from Echo Platoon were teammates of mine. I actually was originally in Echo Platoon, and later I moved into Foxtrot. But guys, I'll never forget that day. We were in Germany at the time, Foxtrot Platoon. Echo Platoon was in Afghanistan, and Marcus Luttrell, Mike Murphy, Danny Dietz, and Matt Axelson were part of 2 different reconnaissance teams that had come together to augment our troop in Afghanistan. And they were conducting a reconnaissance mission up in the Korangal Valley of Afghanistan to go after a high-level Taliban commander, Ahmad Shah. And if the reconnaissance team got eyes on, it would launch the assault team led by Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen and several of my teammates, my teammates comprised of SEAL Team 10 and some other teams. And Foxtrot Platoon, the other part of the troop, we were in Germany standing the Maritime Interdiction Operation mission. We were on standby, and we were only 1 week away from what we call a rotate in place. So we were gearing up to rotate into Afghanistan to relieve those guys. We were going to relieve Echo Platoon, and Foxtrot would take over the Afghanistan mission. And I'll never forget, man, I'm in Germany, and I walked into the platoon space, and the guys were all crowded together in the room, and I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Hey, one of our helicopters got shot down in Afghanistan." And I was like, "What do we know?" And they were like, "Nothing." And man, we started calling. We went to our own secure communications room there, and we were trying to get information, and it was pretty frustrating. But things started to come out. We started to learn that the helicopter had shot down. We still didn't know if there were any survivors. We started to realize that Marcus Luttrell was on the run. Some of the stuff I can't talk about, that'd be classified, but there were just some indicators that we knew from being involved that Marcus was still alive. We still didn't have confirmation. Several members of our troop, our senior chief, immediately launched and headed to Afghanistan and left us to, hey, start packing up. We're probably going to be heading to Afghanistan immediately. Probably a few days went by, and we found out that everybody had been killed on the helicopter. And I found out we had lost Eric Christensen. We had lost Mike McGreevy, who I'd known for many years, as a teammate and friend at SEAL Team 4. Mike had actually come to my house to recruit me to be in his platoon, to be in Echo Platoon originally before I got moved. We lost Jacques Fontaine. We lost the LPO, Jeff Taylor, JT, and Jeff Lucas were all part of my troop, along with, of course, all the other guys we lost that day. I also found out around this time, several days later, they had recovered Marcus, and they had recovered the bodies of Danny Dietz and Mike Murphy. And we hadn't heard any, none of the stories about what happened had come out yet. That would be months before we would come to find out what Mike Murphy did that day. But we found out that Marcus was being flown to Landstuhl, Marcus and Mike Murphy and Danny Dietz, and several of us said, let's go to Landstuhl, let's go meet. We also knew that some of our teammates that were on the other helicopter, because there were 2 helicopters that came in as the quick reaction force. One of the helicopters was shot down. The other helicopter watched it. They literally were looking out the window and saw their teammates get shot down, and they weren't allowed to land. They were told no because it was too hot, the gunfight was too engaged. And I know some of you may not understand this. I'm not gonna backseat quarterback this. Military commanders have to make decisions to protect assets and protect people. And in that moment, the commander said, "You will not land. Get out of that battle zone." And that's hard. It was hard for those guys too. And they had to fly away. So several of the guys that were on that helicopter that witnessed it had flown home with Marcus and Danny Dietz and Mike Murphy. And we got to Lawnstool, and we got to connect with one of those guys. So we got some of the cursory information of what had happened. And when we fly fallen teammates home, they always have individuals who come with them, who escort them home. And those guys had been with them for at least a day now from that flight out of Afghanistan. And we told them, "Why don't you guys take a break?" And we went on the aircraft with Mike Murphy and Danny Dietz. And I had never met Mike Murphy. I had met Danny a couple of times. He was at SDV Team 2, which was right across from SEAL Team 4, but I didn't really know him. I just remember looking at those flag-draped caskets as we sat there, for those guys to grab some lunch and take a break, and just, yeah, man, this is for real. And that is the cost of freedom. Like, I was getting ready to head into combat, my first combat deployment. And I think so many people don't understand, because you don't have a name. For many people, they don't know someone personally that's fallen. And I thought a lot about that in that moment, a very somber moment as we sat there to honor our teammates and spend time with them. When those guys came back and relieved us, we went to the hospital. We did not get to see Marcus at that first time. The hospital and the command and everybody was debriefing him. So we ended up having to go back to base and get ready, because we didn't know at what point we were going to be flying into Afghanistan. The recovery operations for Matt Axelson were still underway. They had not recovered his body yet. And I remember gearing up for all of that when a couple days later, they released Marcus from the hospital, and he came down to the SEAL command where we were at. And that was actually the first time I ever met Marcus. And once again, we got to sit down and learn more from Marcus what had happened, this incredible story about how Gulab had taken Marcus in and protected him, and the firefight and everything that had occurred. So I think maybe the next day we flew to Afghanistan and got on the ground, and recovery operations were still underway. I think it was maybe 3 days after I got into Afghanistan when they finally recovered Matt Axelson. And we did the ramp ceremony. I'd only been there for a few days, and my very first introduction to combat in the combat theater was the ramp ceremony, which is a very somber experience. All of us go to the tarmac, in this case in Bagram, and we line the runway up to the back of the plane, and the flag-draped casket is carried by teammates and loaded onto the bird. And once again, the reality of, hey man, this is for real. Like, this is a real enemy we are fighting, and we are going to lose teammates. And then we left there, and the very first thing, we had this memorial ceremony because that had not happened yet. None of that had occurred for all the teammates we lost, 11 SEALs and 8 Special Operations Aviation crewmen. So it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. It's been 20 years. It's been amazing. I am friends. I was in Texas last month for the 20-year get-together that Danny Dietz's widow, Patsy, puts on every year. And to see so many teammates that I hadn't seen in a long time since then was incredible. To be with them, and I've become friends with many of the Gold Star, the wives that they left behind, and to see their kids grow up and become amazing people, and to have personality quirks and parts of their dads. So anyways, I just want to say, for those of you out there, I know many of you love the movie Lone Survivor, and I'll be honest, I've only watched it 3 times. It's very hard for me to watch. I saw it at the premiere in, I think we did it in Baltimore on the East Coast. I got invited to another premiere in Houston. I'll be honest, I only watched about half of it, and I left and went and got totally shit-faced drunk. And then the third time, I wanted my wife and kids to watch it because I wanted them to see, like, you know, this is the reality. And these were my friends that I lost. For those of you, I mean, some of you just want to watch this because you're enamored, but I hope you understand that, man, they're amazing humans who are willing to go out and fight for our freedom. And I don't care who of you are out there, if you want to jump on the bandwagon of politics, and this was done wrong, or this was done right with Red Wings. I don't give a shit about any of that. All I know is I knew amazing people who were willing to serve their country at the highest level, and when their teammates were in trouble, they went and they got on that helicopter and said, I'm going. I'm sorry. They went and got on that helicopter and said, I will go. I will go. And I think they knew that they may not come home, and unfortunately they didn't. But I hope you will honor them. I hope you will think about that, not just on this anniversary for June 28th, but at any time. I hope you will value your freedom that you have and the opportunities you have in this country that came at a tremendous price. Individuals like the warriors from Operation Red Wings who are willing to lay down their lives, not just for their teammates, but for your very freedom. So, sorry for a little bit of a somber moment, but I don't think I've ever told that whole story. And it's been 20 years, and I just felt led to share it. So